You are a miracle. Some of you know me, might find it strange that I'd say something like that. Most of you know that I just say stuff regardless. But the fact remains that each one of us is a miracle. And it doesn't matter how you look at your life, and it doesn't matter what you look at in terms of where you came from and where you're going. As many of you also know, something I love to talk about is something that everybody else hates to talk about. A lot of people in conversations with me wait for the point when Keith dives into religious philosophy, because I love it. And as a non-believer, it surprises some people that I love religious philosophy so much. But there's a reason. And I think that reason, I'm finally figuring out, is that something that I want to do in life is help the believer and the non-believer understand one another. And the idea that you're a miracle is something that's generally pretty easy for the believer to grab onto, and often difficult for the non-believer. But it doesn't need to be that way. One of the things that we discuss in our existence often is where is it that we came from. Recently, there was a debate broadcast on the internet between Bill Nye and Ken Ham. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Bill Nye, of course, is the science guy. He had a children's television program all through the 90s. Absolutely wonderful teacher of simple science. Ken Ham is a gentleman who opened what's called the Creation Museum in Kentucky. And he invited Bill Nye on to debate. And they were debating creationism, or intelligent design, versus natural selection, or Darwinian evolution. And it wasn't fun. It was people kind of just trying to batter each other over each other's heads with, this is why I believe what I do. And it's this debate that goes on and on and on and on and on. For the non-believer, the believer must be ridiculous. How can you believe in something that you can't see? For the believer, the non-believer looks ridiculous because what's the point? But there's a point. And that's why I say that we're all a miracle. Believer or non-believer. For the believer, the miracle comes from where you come from. As a believer, you embrace the idea and the belief that you come from something greater than yourself. Whether it be God, or whether it be some source energy, or however you want to interpret that. And that's miraculous. That helps give your life purpose and meaning and direction. And I think that's something that all of us understand. For the non-believer, it's a little bit different. And I'm going to give a quick science lesson in terms of how I understand it. I'm a slightly less effective physics teacher than Neil, so hang with me. But about 13.7 billion years ago, give or take about a billion, let's give it that much, please. Something happened. We don't know what it was. We don't know what was there before that. Lawrence Krauss postulates that there was nothing, but that's that exact nothing that created the imbalance that caused what scientists often refer to as the Big Bang. And Stephen Hawking has postulated that after the Big Bang, there was mostly just helium. Helium everywhere. And that a force started to pull these bits of helium together, that force being gravity. And if you understand how gravity works, you understand that the larger the mass, the greater the gravitational pull. So these helium atoms start coalescing. And as they start coalescing, they start gaining more and more mass. Till again, after, I want to say about 2 billion years, so just a little bit, you have these giant blue stars. And inside the heart of these stars, if you understand gravity, are forming, thank you, grammar, are forming things like carbon and iron. All of it things that make up the basic building blocks of life on this, our planet. Carl Sagan once said that you are made of star stuff. And that's not just a clever phrase. The iron in your blood, the carbon in your body, came from these stars roughly 11 billion years ago. These stars exploded. Now we have more matter. Having more matter means we have more gravity. Having more gravity means we have more things coalescing. Different formations are coming together. Up until about 4.7 billion years ago, there was no Earth. And then, boom! Something happened. We don't know what, of course, because, Jerry's pretty close to old enough to know what happened.
You read sign language?
I know one. But about 4 billion years ago, our Earth was formed. And at some point, life began. Again, we don't know. Nobody was there. We don't understand how it started. The believer has an understanding, and the non-believer has an understanding. From the non-believer's point of view, life begins and life evolves over time. Natural selection happens. Some people say survival of the fittest, but that's not really it, because as human beings, we have all sorts of stuff in our bodies that doesn't make any sense. And if it was all about fitness and improvement, we should be a whole lot better. But all the way up until now, Homo sapiens as a species has existed for roughly 150,000 years. Look at that in the universal scale. It has gone from 13.7 billion years to about 100,000 years ago. If you looked at that on a monthly calendar, we've existed for about a minute and a half. At the end of December, not a monthly calendar, a yearly calendar. That's a miracle. So whether you think, or believe, or know, or feel that we came from something divine, or whether you think, or feel, or know, or believe that we came through billions of years of life longing for itself, it doesn't matter. Because the fact remains at the end of the day that you are